welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Angela, and before we get into today's video, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I do post new videos every single week. Anything from paranormal videos, which I just started this year in 2019, to product reviews, makeup tutorials, vlogs will be happening in the new year as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, please feel free to stick around. With that being said, today's video is going to be kind of a continuation from last week's video. Last week I did a paranormal video on why you should not use a Ouija board, and in that video I briefly went over, some paranormal experiences that I have had throughout my life, and a lot of you guys commented saying that you would love a video talking about my experiences. So today I'm going to be filming that. So the first experience that could be considered paranormal, or it's just could be scientific. It really is what you believe. When I was really little, I had night terrors. So basically a night terror is a form of a sleep disorder which in a person partially awakens from sleep in a state of terror. And basically you're in extreme fear. You don't remember it the next morning when you wake up. So you're really not awake, but you can appear to be awake. And when I was little, this would happen to me. My parents were really frustrated. It really scared them. They didn't understand what was going on, because I would wake up in the middle of the night, my eyes would be wide open, and I would be screaming at the top of my lungs, like terrified. And they would tell me that when they would walk into the room and tell me, they'd be like, Angela, wake up, wake up, wake up. They'd be shaking me, telling me to wake up, and I would be screaming, and I wouldn't even look at them. It was as if they weren't even there. They said I would be screaming, pointing like behind them, like I was terrified, and it would scare my parents. At first I thought that I was just being a brat and screaming, but then when they took me to the doctor, they were like, your daughter's having night terrors. Like, you can't try and wake them during a night terror because it can make them worse. You just have to let them get through it. And it was one of those things where I would scream and be terrified. My eyes would be wide open, and then as soon as it was over, I would close my eyes and fall back asleep, and the next morning my parents would ask me about it, and I would have no recollection of what happened. From what I read online, basically if night terrors are paranormal, it's said to be obviously a dark entity because they put you in a state of terror, so it's obviously something evil. And basically they say that they're most common in children because it's easier for entities, good spirits and bad spirits, to be able to access the minds of children much easier than it is for adults, because kids can see stuff that adults can't because their brains are underdeveloped, and it's just easier to access them. So that's why they say that it is possible that night terrors could be linked to something paranormal. So the second thing is kids often have imaginary friends. And when I was little, my parents told me when I got older that I had this imaginary friend. Well, it wasn't an imaginary friend because I was scared of her. And her name was Dorita. Yes, like Doritos, like the chips Doritos, but Dorita. So, I don't know. But anyways, according to my child self, she was a dinosaur. My parents said that I would come out of my room crying, and I would say that Dorita was like harassing me. She wouldn't leave me alone. And I don't know the details of what I would tell my parents, but I just know that I was scared, and I would come out and get my parents. I just think that the mind of a child, yes, it could just be very, very creative. But in my mind, because of a lot of the things that I've experienced have been negative, I'm thinking that maybe she wasn't a dinosaur. Maybe my childlike mind, not understanding what demons and evil entities were. Dinosaurs don't necessarily look evil, but they kind of look like goblins and kind of scary. So maybe that's what I associated it with, because I probably knew what a dinosaur looked like when I was little, but not what something evil would look like. Also too, when I was younger, things always happened in my childhood home, not only to myself, but to my family as well. Not like big things, but like little things. We would always hear things. A lot of times things would like crash, like almost like a dish fell in the kitchen, like something totally shattered and broke. And we would often find ourselves, like watching a movie, and we would hear something like that, and we would pause it and go look around the house, and absolutely we could not find anything broken. So in my last video, when I talked about the Ouija board, I briefly mentioned that the last time I played with the Ouija board, it freaked me out. I put it away. I never played with it again. I remember the last time I played with it, I was sitting at our dining room table, and I had my hands on the planchette and I was asking it questions. I really don't remember what I asked it. And I just remember it not doing anything and just being like, okay, whatever, this is getting boring. So I put the Ouija board back in the box. I placed the planchette on top of the box, put the lid over it. I picked it up like this because I was gonna go put it away. And I know this is gonna sound really silly, and a lot of people are gonna say, well, maybe you just, tilted the box and you didn't realize it, but I don't remember doing so. Like, I'm 99.9% positive I didn't. So I picked up the box. I hadn't even started to walk yet, and I heard it slide all the way across to the other side. So I put the board down, I took the lid off the box, and the planchette was all the way on the other side of the board, and I had just placed it in the middle. Mind you, this had happened all within like 10 seconds. So it's not like it was like, well, maybe I did put it on the other side of the board. No, I literally had just placed the planchette down in the middle of the board, put the lid on, picked it up, and then as soon as I was getting ready to walk away, I heard it drag all the way across. And I was really scared. I put the lid on it and I went and stuffed it in our linen closet, and I never touched it again. Okay, so another experience that I would have often, especially when I lived in my childhood home growing up, this was like in my teen years, early college years. So my TV would turn on and off by itself. And again, maybe there was a short in the TV, who knows? But it was a perfectly good TV. It worked just fine. But then suddenly it would turn on and off by itself. Like, I would literally be watching TV, and in the middle of it, you know how older TVs used to just like black out when they turn off? It would like, and it would make like a noise. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. That was a really bad impression. But anyways, it would do that. And there would literally be times where I would turn it on, and as soon as it would turn on, it would turn off. And then I would turn it on, and then it would turn off. And it was almost like the spirit, if it was a spirit, was like playing games with me. I have goosebumps. That's freaking me out. I think I just get freaked out when I talk about this stuff. And so I remember I would be sitting in my room watching TV, and it would turn on and it would turn off. And it would really piss me off. It happened so much that it stopped freaking me out. In the beginning, it did freak me out, but it happened so much that it got to the point where it just started to annoy me. After it would turn on, turn off a couple times, I would get frustrated because I just wanted to watch whatever I was watching. And I would literally sit on my bed and be like, okay, like I'm not in the mood. Like, can you please stop? Like, you're not welcome here. I'm trying to watch my show. Stop. I'm not over exaggerating, and I'm not lying. I know some of you will think I am because not everybody believes in this stuff. But when I would do that, it would stop happening for a while. At least during that day, I would continue watching my show and everything would be fine. And it would usually stop for a couple of weeks, and then it would start back up again. I actually got to the point where I didn't want the TV in my room anymore. And I told my mom, I was like, this TV freaks me out. I don't want it. I was gonna put it out in the garage, and my mom was like, that's silly. It's a perfectly good TV. She's like, I'm gonna put it in my bedroom. So that's what my mom did. And my mom started experiencing the same things, and she was like, you're right. Because when I told her about it, she didn't initially believe me. She was like, oh, you're probably just exaggerating, or you're just scaring yourself. And it started happening to her. And after having the TV in her room for a couple of months, it ended up out in the garage where I was originally going to put it because it freaked her out too. Okay, so the next experience is probably one of the scariest ones that I actually physically saw something. So this one was when I was in high school. My childhood home has a home office in it. So with a computer desk and everything, and I always had the iTunes open in that room because back in the day, us kids didn't have like laptops and like all these like, iPhones and stuff. So when I wanted to get on social media, I went and sat in the office on our big desktop and, played music and got on MySpace and all that fun stuff. The iTunes was always open. I just never closed it. And I was getting ready for school. I went into our home office for something, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was not standing anywhere near the computer. I was standing like at a distance where I could see it. But I wasn't standing close to it. I was standing probably at least like 5-8 feet away from it. And I was grabbing something out of the office, and the music from the iTunes just started blasting, and it scared the crap out of me that it made me jump back. And this is really hard to explain. So I just happened to look at the exact right moment. So I don't know if iTunes is still like this. I don't really go on my actual iTunes on my desktop anymore because I just play everything on my phone. But back in the old days when you would click the play button, it would physically show it click down like on the computer screen, like as you clicked it. Does that make sense? As the music started to blast, it scared the crap out of me. So I looked, as I was jumping back, I looked at the computer really fast, and I saw the play button on the screen display coming back up, like it had just been pressed down. And when something scares you and it just literally makes your heart race, and that's what happened. And I ran to the computer and press stop. And my mom came in, she was like, what are you doing? She's like, it's early, your dad is sleeping, you're gonna make him mad, you're gonna wake him up. And I was like, Mom, I didn't do it. And obviously she was like, okay. But that was probably one of the ones that freaked me out the most, because I wasn't anywhere near the computer. I was grabbing something and then the music just started blasting, and I actually saw the button being physically pressed and nobody was there. This next one I'm going to talk about, I don't want to talk about it for very long because it freaks me out. I am home alone and I am starting to get goosebumps, and I just kind of want to be done with this video. So I used to see like black shadow figures standing over me while I was sleeping, like what you see in the movies. I know there are going to be people that are like, you're just making this up, but this is stuff that I've experienced, and it can all be rationalized to people who don't believe in this stuff. Maybe I was dreaming, maybe I wasn't, but it all seemed extremely real to me. I remember the first time I saw a black shadow figure. I was on the phone with my boyfriend Gustavo. We hadn't been dating for very long. We were on the phone, and the beginning of our relationship, we used to sleep on the phone together every night. I know, so cute, or maybe just annoying. But we did. We would like be like, okay, good night, and we would leave each other on speaker. We would just like go to sleep and sleep on the phone together. And I went to go to sleep. I closed my eyes and I was starting to fall asleep, just starting to get groggy, you know, when you're starting to fall asleep but you're not like fully asleep. So you're still aware if something is going on, like to the point where if you hear something or see something, you're gonna open your eyes. So I was just going into that sleep process, and I don't know what made me open my eyes, and I swore that I could see this black figure just like standing on the side of my bed, like looking over me as I was laying down, getting the chills. And I was so scared, like you would think I was a 4-year-old. I was so scared that I put the blankets over my head and rolled up in the fetal position on my side and just closed my eyes really tight. And I just told myself, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Like you're imagining it, go to sleep, go to sleep. And I eventually fell asleep, and when I woke up in the morning, obviously it wasn't there. And I've seen it a couple more times. I have not seen it in years though. But to this day, if I'm like traveling or I'm sleeping somewhere by myself, like I live with Gustavo now, so I can sleep in the dark if he's in the bed with me because I feel more safe. But to this day, as a 28-year-old grown woman, if I am sleeping by myself, I have to have a lamp on. I will not sleep in the dark because of that experience. The other thing that always happens to me is my cat Cleopatra. They say that, you know, animals can see anything spiritually, whether it's dark or whether it's, you know, good or not. And my cat always freaks me out. You know, she could just be crazy, but she always freaks out to where like her eyes get really dilated, and she'll look behind me like something's behind me with her ears back, and she'll start running around and going crazy and crying, almost like she's trying to warn me or something. And I've literally had moments where she freaks me out, where I'll be like, stop it. Like I'll tell her, stop it, you were freaking me out. And she'll have like moments where she'll like stare up at like a corner. She did this one specifically at my mom's house. This was last year when I stayed with her. If I still have the video, I recorded it. It was so weird. She was like standing up, like on her hind legs, and she was going like this, and just for like with her paws, and like staring at this corner in my mom's house, playing with something. It's like something was playing with her. It was the weirdest thing. Me and my mom were so freaked out. My mom was like, stuff like that does not happen when you're not here. She's like, I never see things like this happen when you're not here. And another thing that I just thought of that happened all the time last year when I would go stay with my mom, the bathroom that's connected to my bedroom, there's the shower drain can come off. So it's not like attached, like screwed in or anything, like it can just be slid off, but you have to physically pick it up. You can't just slide it off with your foot. It doesn't come off that easily. One summer while I was staying there, every day when I would go to take a shower, the shower drain would be completely off to the side, sitting off of the drain, like the whole, like completely sitting off. And it got to the point where I started testing it. I was like, okay, maybe I'm leaving the shower door open. My mom has a couple cats. So I was like, maybe one of the cats are doing this and I'm freaking myself out. I started to make sure that when I got out of the shower every day, that the drain, one, was on top of the, you know, drain hole, that it was on top of it, wasn't moved, it was secure. And I would close the shower door and make sure that way no cats could get in, because they can't get in if it's closed. The shower door is way too tall. They can't jump it. And still, every single freaking morning, it was moved off to the side. After I left and went home, she uses that shower too. And she told me, she was like, okay, this is really weird. She's like, now it's happening to me. That being said, I have had some positive experiences, and so has my mom. When my grandma passed away, my mom swears that she felt like she could feel her for a year after, like just watching after her. My grandma, my dad's mom, she loved poinsettias, and after she passed, she had a lot of flowers, a lot of plants, and my aunt was giving them homes, giving some of the plants to various family members, and she gave my mom one of my grandma's poinsettias. And my mom claims that she's never ever been able to keep poinsettias alive. I guess they're really hard to keep alive, and my grandma was really good at keeping them alive, so she would have them year round. When she took this poinsettia that was my grandma's, my aunt gave it to her, and my mom just said that for like an entire year after she passed, she swears she could feel her just watching over my mom. And my mom just thought it was so crazy. She's like, you know, I've never been able to keep a poinsettia plant alive. She said, but this one that your aunt gave me that used to be your grandma's is still alive. And my mom had it for like over a year, and it was just alive and thriving, and it just never died. And then my mom said that when she finally felt my grandma's presence gone, the poinsettia started to die. And so it's just kind of crazy. I'm getting chills. How people can experience things like that. And it was just really comforting to my mom, because she genuinely felt like she's still here, she's still watching over us. The second experience that I had, that me and my mom and my dad, all three had, and my dad doesn't even believe in paranormal stuff. He's kind of like, he's had paranormal experiences in the past, but he's kind of one of those people that just like explains it away and is like, no, it had to be this, there has to be some logic behind it. But he did believe in this. So we had a cat, his name was Pudge, and I literally had him since I was like 4 years old. So basically he died when I was in my early 20s. So that's a long time. We had him for like 18, 19 years. He was an old cat, and he was like our baby. We absolutely loved him. He was the most amazing cat in the world. I swear this won't turn into like a crazy cat lady video, but we just all loved him so much. Like, we literally didn't remember life without him. We had him for like 18 years. It's a long time to have a family pet. And after he passed, we were all really sad and devastated. And it was just like the thing with my grandma, like we could still feel him there. Like I said at the beginning, closer to the beginning of the video, we have a home office, and we have a really, really big, heavy office chair. And that was one of his favorite places to lay. He would always jump on top of that big old office chair and lay in it. And when he would do that, it would make like this squeak, like you could hear him. You knew when he was going into the office to lay on the chair. And you know, when he would walk down the hall, we could hear his paws click and his bell. And after he passed, all three of us would continually hear that office chair make that noise like it would make when he would jump up there to lay down. And like him like walking across the hall. And there were multiple times that, like, you know, I would feel him like jumping on my bed, and it would wake me up. And I would forget that he died, and I would be like, Pudgy, like really happy. Like I'd be like, come on, baby. Like, you know, you do when your fur baby comes to lay with you. But it would be this really sad realization. It felt so real that I would forget that he was gone. And my parents would do the same thing. Like, I'm telling you, it felt so real that when I would hear like that office chair make that noise, I would go into the office and be like, Pudge. And then I would remember, oh yeah, like he's gone. And we experienced this probably for at least an entire year after he died. He was sick for a while, and he held on for a really long time, because he was not planning on crying. We just believe that he held on for a long time because he knew that we loved him so much and we didn't want him to go. So after he died, we just genuinely feel that, you know, he stuck around and that he was trying to tell us, like, I'm okay, I'm still here. And then I feel like as time went on, you know, he started to see that we were okay, and he moved on. We all remembered when we stopped hearing it too. Like, we talked about it. It was like, oh, I haven't heard him in a while. And we were like, yeah, we think he's gone now. But it was comforting after he had passed to know that he was still there, like watching over us. So since a lot of my paranormal experiences have been kind of scary, I wanted to end with those last two that were more positive and like positive entities that are more comforting, because it doesn't always have to be scary. That being said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have had paranormal experiences as well, I would love to hear about them in the comment section below, or if you don't believe in them, you can comment below too. I'm so open to discussion. We all base our opinions off of our experiences, so if you are someone who has never had a paranormal experience, of course you're not going to believe it because you haven't experienced it, and that's totally cool. Just be respectful of people and what they believe, because everybody's experiences are different, and I would love to hear what your experiences are or what you think of this video and my experiences in the comments below. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I will be posting a new video next week as always. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!